whispers and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause. Welcome to The Probable Cause. This is a podcast covering the criminal justice system in Allen County, Indiana, northeastern Indiana, and the state. I'm Jamie Duffy, your host and a locally based journalist. To my left over there is our co-host, Michael McAlexander. He is the Allen County Prosecutor. And with us today is Tim Manges, who's one of the city's top municipal attorneys and was at one time the city attorney. We will get to the intersection of municipal law, prosecutor's office, and police. But first, as always, we're going to cover the courts. Mike, what have we got in the courts this week?
We had two trials going yesterday. One of them was completed in one day, battery to a public safety official, and it was a guilty verdict in 6 minutes. And then we have another one that's domestic going right now. I think it's supposed to go to the jury this afternoon.
Interesting. So there has been a lot of interest in the case of Essex Robinson, who exchanged gunfire with a man inside an empty home on Bowser Avenue. It was in August of 2024. I have never seen the probable cause on this because he was only 14 years old during the incident and it isn't released. However, I did have sources who told me, who talked to Essex. That's at least what the scenario that I've been given. He was charged with attempted murder and burglary and aggravated battery, and he wisely chose a plea deal. That's, in my opinion, that it was wise, because attempted murder, if you're waived into an adult court, you're looking at 20 to 40 years, in my opinion, right? I'm guessing that the prosecutor's office probably breathed a sigh of relief, as well as, thanks to the probable cause, this case has gotten a lot of attention. Sorry, Mike. More and more juveniles are being incarcerated, and I think the legal community and the public are grappling with this. We know our brains are not completely formed until about the age of 25, which is the prefrontal cortex. He was 14 when it happened. He is now 15. The plea deal was the work of Robinson's attorneys, Megan Close and Andrew Scheer. They have developed a relationship not just with Essex, but his family. They were all at court last week. Rachel Geschwind is the deputy prosecutor on the case. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she was there, and her name is on my case. I'm going to urge you to go to www.theprobablecause.com to see my coverage of this. It's also on our Facebook page, The Probable Cause. Now, on to Tim Manges. I have been to a few meetings where you have been the city attorney. My first question is going to be, why municipal law for you?
You know, I haven't thought about that in a while. I'm from Fort Wayne.
Right.
And I grew up here and went away to college and to law school, lived in Cincinnati for a while.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, didn't do any municipal law in my first law job. Came back and worked at some firms, still not really doing much, but when I was with a firm that's now called Carson, I worked with an attorney named Bob Keene and did some work for him defending civil rights cases. He's an attorney for his clients are insurance companies that insure counties around the state, and he had some police cases, and I thought that was interesting stuff. I went in-house at what was called Essex then at the time, and did some corporate stuff, and then came out and worked briefly at a firm called Warsko and Brogan. And while there, Graham Richard was elected mayor. I didn't know Graham. In fact, I've told Graham this. I voted for Linda because Ron Buskirk was my pal football coach.
There you go. And
and he was
Linda Buskirk.
Linda, I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay,
Linda Buskirk. I just thought it would be cool to have a woman as the mayor, and I didn't really have an opinion. That's super deep. My football coaches wife. That's who I vote for mayor. Anyway, I like her. Had nothing, but I didn't really know Graham. But shortly thereafter, I got contacted by an attorney from Baker and Daniels, who was called at the time, named Joe Kimmel. And he asked me if I'd be interested in the city attorney position, because I think for the first time ever, under Graham, they moved it into a full-time, you sit there in the office. Tim McCauley had been...
Tim McCauley was almost full-time, but he still was with...
client for him, yeah. And he had his office at Helmke Beams.
But he also had an office at the city.
Anyway, but I think Kimmel had this vision that Graham agreed with at a city of our size.
I think that's when they kind of split they had the corporate counsel.
Yeah.
And then the city attorney.
Which Kimmel was the corporation counsel, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of transforming this idea into, we got a city of this size, probably needs a guy who's devoting
all the time.
100%. Yeah. And so I was intrigued. I was, I don't know, 36-ish. And I'd just been at that law firm for 6 months. And I felt bad about saying, I'm
out of here.
See ya. But I don't know. I was intrigued by it. I met Graham. I thought he had some
great guy.
He's,
great guy. Yeah.
I think it's
a bundle of energy.
A bundle of energy. I think he had support, from both sides. And
it's funny you talk about the connections that way with like Ron Busker.
Yeah.
I met Graham at Boy Scout camp. He was a counselor. So when I was 13 or 14, and then re-met him on the Mayor's Youth Council when he graduated from Princeton and came back to Fort Wayne.
Sort of late 60s, early 70s. Uh-huh. You go in there and you sit with him almost any meeting, and he starts Venn diagramming and, and drawing and connecting things. Yeah. And it's hard. It was hard not to get excited by that and to think I could be part of this. And I talked about being from here. I care about this town. They're gonna probably have to drag me out of here feet first.
No kidding.
Here. I like Fort Wayne. My kids all graduated from high school in Fort Wayne. 3 out of 4 of them live here. I've got 2 grandkids now, and they live here. So
nice.
I cared about it.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, well. So I thought, this would be a good way to try at least to contribute to the betterment of.
And so you ended up liking it, is what you're saying.
I ended up loving it. In fact, I think working for Graham was probably the best job I ever had. I mean, again, it was pretty young, and we had a young chief of staff at first, Andy Downs.
Right.
I don't know if you remember Andy.
Oh yeah, well
he's back.
Yeah, he is back. He's back, and we had a young director of public information, Vince Robinson. I don't know if you remember him, but we were pretty young, and I remember sitting around and going through these problems and trying to work them out. And every once in a while, I don't know how this is going to sound, but how every once in a while we'd look at each other and go, we get to they're letting us decide what's happening here.
It's just too much fun.
It was fun, and you know what else was cool about municipal law is that. And you were there. You really can affect people's lives without going through too much crap. I mean, you have to go through the crap still.
We're going to talk about a couple
you can get things done, and
definitely
that was gratifying too. So,
but let's just talk about I already knew this, but Tim went to Harvard University undergrad and played football there. So how did they find you in Fort Wayne to play football at Harvard University?
Okay, so
I'm curious about that.
So it's a good question. My coach was a guy named Frank Houck, who was a great mentor to me, and he was very experienced. He was a star at Ball State. He's in the Ball State Football Hall of Fame. He took them to, I think, in 1965, maybe they went to their first bowl game, and he was the quarterback. He had played professional baseball. He had coached at Ball State. I'm almost certain, and some of his mentors were college coaches, and so he knew the routine. And it's hard to believe, but when they're recruiting, they flood the market. At least in the olden days, they flood the market. Every high school. Do you have anybody who you think could come and play for us. And so they start by asking the coaches, and I think a lot of coaches wad that up and throw it in the basket. And Coach Hauk did not do that. He asked me, he goes, what do you think? He said, I think you can go on and to some level. You're not going to play for Notre Dame, or Indiana, but what, I think you can look at a Division III or like at the time it was called Division I AA or something like that.
And what position did you play?
I was a quarterback in high school.
Nice.
And I started off that way, but I switched to another kind of offensive position, a receiver position in college. But he asked me if I was interested, and
did he ask you if you were interested in Harvard?
Oh,
or was it an Ivy League?
I think, first he goes, do you want to play after high school?
Okay.
And then he would get, I remember the first recruiting letter I ever got was from Dartmouth. And I thought, it made,
okay.
I was walking around, I got a recruiting letter from Dartmouth.
Maybe we should be talking about your SAT scores.
They were.
Must have been exceptional.
There's probably I was a good football player, which probably explains why I got into Harvard.
All right.
They're okay. I was a good student. I was not top in my class. I think I was in the top 5 in my class. And
well, that's pretty good. And Southside was very competitive high school.
Yeah, my record was pretty good. My test scores weren't crazy, but they're enough to meet their what their standard was for football players anyway. So
you went to the gridiron in Harvard.
I did.
And but what was that like? You're a Midwesterner. We know they're dominated by East Coast folks.
Well, that's largely
probably still are.
Well, that's largely true. But our team was national. I think we had players from 35 different states, maybe.
Oh, okay.
All over the place. A lot of California, a lot of Texas, a lot of Florida, a lot of Ohio, and a lot of Massachusetts and New England. When I went, there were 2 other guys from Indiana that were, in fact, one of them I met on my recruiting trip. It was the first time I ever flew on a plane in my life. It was my recruit. They flew me out there to go see the place, and
were you in awe?
Oh yeah, I was definitely. The weekend I was there was like a perfect New England spring day, and they match you up with somebody to be your host, another guy from the football team, and we did all kinds of fun things. And
which we won't go into.
Which we don't need to go into. But it was a beautiful day, and they took me down to see a lacrosse game, and I'm what is that? But there was a crowd there, and it was, I don't know, all the things hit right. And I'd always kind of I didn't know anything about Ivy League football other than when I was a great football fan when I was a kid. That's kind of where I learned to reading the sports pages about baseball and football. And I remember when there was really one game a week on college football, and afterwards there was the college football scoreboard, and I think Chris Schenkel and maybe Bill Fleming. Do you remember these names, Mike?
Well, Chris Schenkel was from Fort Wayne.
Yeah. And these guys would give the scores from all over the country, and it wouldn't be just USC versus Notre Dame. It'd be Slippery Rock playing, so-and-so. And I remember they giving the Ivy League scores, and I'd see, Browns playing Dartmouth. What is that? That sounds interesting to me. And they'd give the highlights of that game. So I always had this little thing in my mind that might be a good landing.
Well, one of the reasons I asked that is because my kids went to high school in Madison, New Jersey, very Wall Street town.
Okay.
A whole lot of push on getting your kids into the Ivies, into, what the quote good schools, most of them on the East Coast. I remember Lehigh was a big one.
Yeah.
James Madison. I think there was one down in North Carolina, but it was and then it was a very Roman Catholic town in a way. So 2 schools I had never heard of, Boston College, not university, and Holy Cross were also, academically superior. They wanted their kids to go there. Not too many of them even came out to the schools here in the Midwest. But then I get here and I find out that no, parents don't really care about that.
Yeah.
They really would rather see their kids go to a school in Indiana.
Yeah.
This is what I picked up on. And so that's why I say, it's like the kid from South Side, and I was like, oh, going to Harvard University to play football, it's just unusual in my opinion. And I think it's really cool myself.
Yeah, I knew of I had a teacher, a favorite teacher at Southside. Her son had gone to Harvard and went to Southside, but he was from the early 70s, and I don't know of anybody between, that guy and me, and I still do. Judge Mathias got me into doing the interviews of applicants. It's called the Schools Committee, and I do that every year. And I haven't seen anybody from Harvard or from Southside get admitted since, even though there's been some really excellent.
Well, what about some of the other high schools? I mean,
I was going to say, I always look at when the end of the year, which they did a few weeks ago, had the top graduates
right.
and stuff. And
usually
there was one kid, I remember at least seeing one that went to Harvard.
Yeah, I think I do that same thing. And pretty much every year we get, out of whatever the pool is, we do, 20 interviews, and maybe one. This year there are 2 because one who got it, well, there are going to be 2 anyway. One that got admitted decided to go somewhere else because I think to Notre Dame, maybe because of
scholarship.
It costs a lot of money to go to Harvard, and then you have to think about the travel from Indiana, whereas if you're on the East Coast, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, and we had one of the guys in our office, his granddaughter is a very good basketball player.
Okay.
And she was recruited hard by Harvard.
Yeah.
I mean, the coaching staff called her on her birthday saying happy birthday to her.
That's how it's very intense. I had a kid from one of the rural schools, I want to say Southern Wells, maybe 20 years ago. He was a highly recruited football player, and they were going to take him no matter what I said in my interview. I could have said, this guy's a fool, he's terrible. Did not matter. He was getting it. So it's.
I mean, I think Harvard too has a certain academic reputation, where some of the big schools, they'll take you if you're a great player, and then they'll.
Well, you still have to have the academic
Sure, you have to,
chops.
Well, yeah, you do. There is I've since learned. There's some reserve. There's a bottom line, but there's spots reserved for like a great cellist.
Yeah.
A great basketball player, a great skater, but your question about Coach Houck was great because it really, I don't think, had it not been for his interest in me and his knowledge of how the system works, I would have.
I mean, sometimes they say students don't even think about applying to those schools. It's out of their orbit, unless somebody like a guidance counselor or a coach or somebody like that says, hey, do you ever think about that? And then you can come back. You came back with a certain experience that most people in Fort Wayne just literally have not had, and they never will. So
I think there's a lot of home state loyalty because
there is.
Even when the Journal publishes the valedictorians and salutatorians from the schools in Ohio, where are they going to school? Ohio State, or
even if they live on the border.
Yeah, they're right on our border.
University, and some of the other ones that are over there. I know, it's crazy. So anyway, you went to Indiana University Law School in Bloomington.
I did.
Was that your first choice?
I don't think I had that many choices. I chose that over Boston University and over the Indianapolis version of IU, and all great school. I would have been pleased to go to any of those.
But if you had gone to Boston University, like my son went to law school, I will brag about him. He got a full ride to IU Bloomington, and he turned it down because he didn't want to practice law here in Indiana. And I kept saying, you don't have to practice law. There's a certain percentage that are going to go on to the East Coast, but there's this notion that if you want to practice law on the East Coast, you have to go to an East Coast law school.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I think the numbers for Bloomington are only like 45% stay in Indiana.
I think Bloomington's a little bit more of
now, Indy is more
geared toward
IUPUI, thank goodness. A higher percentage of them stay here in Indiana because Indiana has a shortage and we need them. And we also, Tim, need a law school. Here we go. Mike's laughing. Already. We need a law school in Allen County, Indiana, and IU is the perfect solution because they already have the curriculum. We have people who can teach it. You know, we can find space for them anywhere they want. We'll find space for them right here in the prosecutor's office if necessary. I guarantee
Running the law
you.
school.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a good idea?
Do you agree with that?
No.
I mean,
Well, and the prosecutors,
You do remember Indiana Tech.
right? But I'm just saying, you know, they started from scratch.
They start from scratch, and they also, it seemed like the life shifted. I mean, when Indiana Tech started off, feels like there was a glut of lawyers at that time.
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, and
And now,
all of a sudden, now you can't find.
well, you lost Valpo, which I think Valpo populated a lot of Indiana.
Okay.
We've found quite a few people going to Ohio law schools. And also with the,
There's one, for example, yeah.
there's also a thing right now with this, the bar exam that is taken that's different from the one we took, where you get a point total.
Okay.
And different states have different pass rates. And I think Ohio is higher, their pass rate is higher than ours.
Okay.
So we've caught a couple of people that had enough points for pass the Indy bar, but not the Ohio bar.
Okay.
And so it just seems like we're getting that. But I think losing Valpo and Notre Dame, people generally don't stay in Indiana.
18% stay in Indiana. It's something
From
really,
Notre Dame.
really low.
Yeah.
And they've always been known as sort of almost like an international. I mean, even when I was in New Jersey, Notre Dame was one of the Mecca undergrads, you know, just because of,
Right.
you know, the fighting Irish.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, I noticed that. It was, I mean, I taught French at a little Catholic girls' school, and I would say they probably sent half a dozen there. So, because it was one of those schools. So anyway, so Timothy Manges was appointed as the city attorney 2000 to 2007. We have been over that. He continues to represent Indiana municipalities and works as a partner at the Fort Wayne law firm of Fletcher Van Gilder.
All true. Yes.
Right. So you've been with a lot of law firms.
Yeah.
What about Fletcher Van Gilder? Because I know Van Gilder is known as an environmental attorney, which we could use more and more of them too.
Yeah, no, so Fletcher...
That's my opinion.
Fletcher Van Gilder is a result of a merger of two firms, Eilbacher Fletcher and Van Gilder's, it was Van Gilder and Trzynka, maybe.
Yeah,
when I left the city, because in 2007, I left a job that I love. It was on the eve of Tom Henry's first election, and I thought, I got to get out of a job that I am fretting about who wins the election. Turns out I still fret about who wins, you know, that never went away. But I went in with these guys because I had done work with them, and they were all like high level, like, I don't know if you remember Jim Fenton and Alvar Plank and Martin Flood. These are smart, like smart people, ethical. Kate Brogan, I don't know if you know Kate, but just top of the line. And I thought, if I'm going to leave this job that I love, I'm going to look at something like that. So I was with that crew. But then some of those guys, I mean, we had retirements, we had people passing away, and then we started, you know, shrinking a little bit. And one of our partners at the time, Rachel Gwynn, got to talking with Van Gilder, and they were kind of feeling the same thing. They had Dusty Roach. I don't remember if you know Dusty. He was retiring, and they just got the talks going. We felt like they were the same kind of. They care about the community. They are not going to do anything unethical or illegal. You know, I mean, you have to worry about.
Well, one would hope they wouldn't do anything.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean.
Well,
I knew what
they were in some. Yeah, they had done litigation on the landfill, I believe, 20.
Yeah, so
I mean, back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it was a very community-oriented firm. It just wasn't going to make money.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Fenton and Verplank.
Yeah.
Okay. Worked on that, Adam. So that was before
your time.
My time, although they kind of trickled in over 2000, past 2000.
Some of those
they were very interested in public interest type
and that
litigation.
that spoke to me. But anyway, we merged that, and that's what we got going right now.
So there you are. So one of the municipal law areas, I guess, would be public safety and police power, enforcing local laws through city police departments, including traffic rules and noise ordinances. Of course, we do have the fireworks coming up, so I don't know if you get involved in people's illegal fireworks displays.
No, I don't, because I mean, I'm not in that office, and I get hired by the city attorney, McAlexander, to handle things that pop up. I kind of think she calls me when there's like a random issue, but I also regularly represent the fire chief, Chief Leahy, in mostly disciplinary matters. But whatever his interests are, I don't do the labor negotiations. Another attorney does that. But I handle disciplinary matters for the fire department as his representative. But for the Board of Safety, I used to represent the chiefs, but Malik asked me to become the attorney for the board.
Right.
So I'm not on either side. I help the board guide through, I guide the board through whatever legal things that we need to sort through in handling disciplinary matters. I work closely with the board president, who is Austin Knox, the Wayne
Township trustee.
Young, up and coming, really sharp guy. And so my roles there for the fire are different. I represent the chief for the fire, but I represent the board for police.
So, but last week you were there, and there was an officer who was terminated.
Yeah.
So we don't have to name him, but what was your role in that termination? Did they rely on you? The case came over here to the prosecutor's office. I read the findings, 21 pages. That's also on our website and our page. Prosecutor's office did decline to file any charges. However, our police chief believed that he should be terminated, and then you went over to something called administrative law. So obviously you have to be very fluent in administrative law.
Well, administrative law is just the process by which a board or a commission hears issues, and sometimes if there is a board or a commission that has the power invested in it by state statute to review matters before they can go to court.
Right.
So you guys, maybe you've talked about the Metropolitan Human Relations Commission, Metro. Maybe not. I know that's the.
I don't think
we haven't done
really.
anything on that.
The Equal Opportunity Employment Commission organization here. If you want to sue somebody in
Federal court,
you need to go first in most cases through the.
And they're very busy, I believe.
Yeah, they're an administrative process. So it's just a pre-court process for trying to sort out these claims.
But then you were also, there were, at sort of the same cycle, there were 3 suspensions. One was pretty long, 270 days.
Yeah.
Do you give advice on how long these suspensions should be?
No, so here's...
Who decides the suspension?
Here's how, like, real quick, I'll walk you through the process. And Mike, were you public, and you know this process. He could do it this too. So, but I'll do it here. So if the fire has the Merit Commission that handles their disciplinary matters. So it's the Fire Merit Commission and the Board of Safety for police. If the chiefs in this
it used
case,
to be for both.
Yes. They split that up about 15 years ago, I think. Anyway, in this case, it was Chief Caudle, the
Former chief,
who it was brought to his attention that these guys did something that was against the rules. And he reviewed, there's an investigation by the police department's internal affairs.
Right.
And they come back with a report and give it to the chief. And he decides whether or not I'm going to charge this person. And some different offenses have like a schedule of, of the penalty.
The number of days.
Yeah, but there are certain offenses that the chief can say, this rises to the level of, I'm sorry to say, termination. It's nobody thinks these cases are fun.
No.
They're wrenching, and the decisions that have to be made are really tough. But Chief Caudle made the decision, or he reviewed it, but he, I think, left office, and these cases were pending when Chief Smith came in, and he was trying to, I think, bring some finality to them. and he looked at each of them and said, I'm going to do a petition for discipline, leaving it open. Kind of like each one of these guys is being charged with a terminable offense, but I will leave it to you, board, to decide what the proper thing is.
You could tell he was hurting through this process.
It's brutal on him. He works with these guys. They depend on each other, and you know Chief Smith. He's out on the streets.
Yeah, he's very officer oriented.
He cares about these guys, and it hurts him. I mean,
he didn't want to talk to me.
We talk about it, but you can see it.
Yeah,
when it's on his face.
Well, you got to remember on this that from the city's standpoint, they've put somebody through school, they've trained them, they've invested thousands of dollars in them. They've vetted them before they became officers. I mean, they go through not just physical examination, but psychological examination. Being a police officer is a tough job.
It's tough.
And so to terminate somebody is a big responsibility, and you really hate to do it because of so much invested and a lot of times the attention that comes on. But the other thing is with the department, and on this one, I reviewed the case and didn't think we had a good criminal case, but it doesn't mean that there wasn't actionable areas that somebody shouldn't be a police officer.
And I did put that in my story.
I think what Mike's speaking to really is there's different burdens of proof. Yeah. He's got a hard job. He's got to prove beyond a
reasonable doubt.
Yeah, and what the attorney prosecuting these disciplinary cases has to prove is just more likely than probable. It's just 51%. So a case that can result in a termination very well may not have resulted in a conviction.
Yes.
So he's got to make that.
It was very interesting when I finally got a hold of the 21-page findings and read through it. I wanted to make sure I was fair to every single entity that was involved, including the officer. I could see where the temptation was, honestly. And, I was just wondering, well, I wonder how many other officers are faced with this kind of situation. It's not easy. You've got somebody who's definitely going through a crisis.
Yeah.
I guess that's a nice way to put it.
Well, so sort of back to the process. So the chief makes a decision to file this petition, and then we have a full hearing.
Trial.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a small claims. I mean, the city attorney McAlexander represented the chief, and she puts on her witnesses, and Adam Henry, who is the attorney for the patrolman, he represented this officer, and they put on evidence, and there's a exhibit book that they stipulate to everything. And my role in that is sort of help Austin Knox, the president, run that meeting. There are no rules of evidence, but we try not to just be willing.
Yeah, it's not a free for all.
So there are few, but there's objections, and I help him sort through those. And we have a full blown hearing.
A full-blown hearing where all the members are. I'm assuming that the whole board was there.
Oh, the whole board. Yeah, the whole board's not always there. We really try to schedule these. I mean, that's so important when a guy or gal's job is at stake. That's right. In my opinion,
to have everybody
have them all there and have them all participate in the decision too.
Who all is on the board of safety right now?
Okay, so Austin Knox is the president. Former fire chief Tim Davey is on.
Been on for a long time.
Yeah, and former police chief Frosty York is on there as well. And then a retired attorney, Sharon Peters, is on there. She used to be with Old National and maybe Lincoln before that. Doing
She seems very knowledgeable.
She is a smart cook.
She's been on the board for a long time.
I think she dates back to my days.
Yeah.
Like Graham.
Yeah.
She was definitely on the Fire Merit Commission.
She was. Yeah. She was on both. Yeah. And so, and then a woman named Ruth Ilnicki. Yeah. And I don't know Ruthie that well, other than I've gotten to know her in the
Sounds like a nice person.
She's been on just
calls her Ruthie.
Yeah, I mean that's what she goes by. She started January 1st, and she's got hit full bore with we haven't had a disciplinary case of this magnitude, all three of these in years.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden she's like, "Whoa, where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
What?" But she's definitely paying attention and doing what she needs to do.
And that's another thing about the municipal boards. I've been to school board meetings, I've been to planning board meetings. You can always tell the board member who hasn't done his or her homework because it drags the meeting down and it makes it longer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to some of the hilarious Reddit comments, just two of them, but I have attended so many meetings in my life, not just here in Indiana, but, you know, New York and New Jersey and elsewhere. And it's like, oh my gosh, if that person had just read the homework,
Sure.
you know.
These people, I all pay careful attention to the evidence. I mean, our hearings, I think the last couple of them were 4 or 5 hours long.
Oh my gosh.
And but what happens is that the evidence is closed, the hearing is over. We have a court reporter doing a transcript.
No kidding.
And when the transcript is done, we give the attorneys usually 30 days to submit proposed findings and conclusions, which are required by statute.
And you're the one that writes those up.
Well, no. So the attorney for the city submits hers, and then the attorney for the defendant submits his in the ways that they want the case to be resolved. And
Almost like a family law case where you
and
property settlement agreement or proposed.
it kind of serves as their brief. You know, they write up, and then I and the board read them both. And independently on their own, they can look at the evidence. They each get to have access to the evidence that's been submitted. I do too, and we then have a meeting, sometimes two, but we usually have an executive session meeting of the board and talk about it. Like
Essentially jury deliberation.
That's it. And like why, you know, what parts of it we agree with. Where, like, they usually say, I think where I'm heading is to this result.
You're trying to get consensus.
Yeah.
And
so with their instruction, and I'm taking notes, and you know, I try not to give I'm not there to vote.
You're trying to be unbiased.
Yeah, I'm trying to be unbiased and to help them if they have
make sure they follow the law.
Yeah. Now I will sometimes say, well, what about that thing he said? You know, once in a while, and you know, I try not to reveal what I think, and these are, some of them are close calls, you know. But anyway, I take what I believe to be their direction, and then I edit the one that they think is the winner.
Closer, yeah.
And that's a long process. And then I submit it to them and ask them each. You know, there's open door law issues, which you know well. They cannot be discussing these things
other than an executive session.
And I've actually checked.
Yes, I have my ear to the door.
Yeah, so I've checked, and so what I asked them to do is, if you have any comments, give them to me.
Yeah.
Not each other. And then if we need to, we
have another session.
Yeah, then we'll do that. But that's how we get that 21-page thing. We didn't start the drafting, but we finished it. So
right, and I'm just like. It was very interesting to read that, and I was glad that I sent a FOIA for it. We have another issue, a couple more issues coming up here. We do have a vote that's coming up on Flock, which is the automated plate reader in town. I think it's July something or other. It's coming up very soon, and Mike over there, he says it's kind of like having a cop on every corner. I have a few misgivings about it. I'm not totally against it. What about your background in municipal law? Are you advising the city council at all on that?
I'm not, because first of all, the city council has their own attorney, Joe Bonahum. I think he's still the council attorney. He's been it for a long time. So their advice typically comes from him. You know, over the years, less and less. I know this council less than I used to know. Yeah. Back in the day, I knew them all very well.
Right.
You know, and I just have less occasion to interact with them. But their counsel comes from their own attorney, and I don't really know all the issues. I'm not working on Flock. I read about it. I watch your show. You know, I watch the media. I know that it can detect a lot of
Yeah.
important information.
It's not being used that way.
Yeah.
It's not getting personal information
Yeah.
at this stage.
Yeah.
Whether in the future, and that's where you have to have regulations
Yeah.
on it and control access to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything else. It has its value.
Yeah.
And then you got to weigh it against.
But we have all sorts of data available to us. I mean, the Spillman system that the county and the city police use has a lot of data and a lot of personal information. But we also have very strict rules that all the departments have, that our office has, and a board that if you violate that stuff, your access can be taken away. And we've had that happen.
I can tell you that I have been involved, just talking about Spillman, I've been involved in cases, termination of city employees who have access to Spillman, which is the system
The police database, basically.
and they've gotten on to look up their ex-husband's whatever, or their buddy's thing. And
I've terminated people for that.
And that's a one-time mistake that'll have you looking for a different job.
Well, I mean, that's good that Fort Wayne is on it like that. But you get to some of these little small towns or maybe the big towns. And I will say one thing in favor of Flock. I believe that the homicide rate has gone down in big cities across. I mean, we're getting to be a big city. We have 500 officers. We qualify now. But the homicide rate has gone down in places like Indianapolis, believe it or not, and Baltimore and New York, and I think even Chicago, because of these systems. We had, was it Sergeant or Captain Chris Felton on? They have the Crime Gun Intelligence Center now. Or it'll tell you where those shots are coming from. So they're there even faster. So to say, oh, well, a neighbor's going to call 911, yeah, but if you've got CJIC in place, you're going to get there that much faster. And if you can save a life that way, or if somebody's on the ground, bleeding out and you can get there and save them, then I say, yeah, we just have to watch it.
Right.
Here's another one: zoning and land use, designating areas for residential, commercial, or industrial use. I would like to ask you about the Google data center. I broke that story on October 9th of 2023. I had to convince Wayne to let me write it.
Yeah.
900 acres. Oh yeah, that's going to be a data center campus. Now, this was 2.5 years ago when it wasn't really in the news yet.
Yeah.
There were some getting built. There was already one in Ohio. But, one of the things that I found that was a little bit strange to this reporter sitting here was that I couldn't get any answers out of the city about it. They wouldn't say who it was. Were you involved in any of that?
So I know this will be disappointing to you, but this has made me wonder why you wanted me to be on the show.
No, this is not the main reason at all.
I don't really have anything to do with
Zoning.
that and the Google Center specifically, and I don't really have an opinion about it, except if I spoke negatively of it, I'd be a huge hypocrite. I mean, I use it all the time, and I'm worried about the environment just as much as anybody.
Yes.
But I forget and I use that.
Well, we all depend on it.
I will tell you this. I know in a couple of times in the past, I've looked over some non-disclosure agreements by potential developers, and I think the identities of the potential developer was even kept from me in looking over the agreement with the city. So I can only assume that one of them was.
Yeah, they had an NDA there, but wasn't there also one when they built the Amazon out on 30?
Those are the two that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what company. I just get this piece of paper with the identity blocked out, and
well, the public is becoming more and more aware of it, and all I say is that I believe since they're getting all these tax breaks and everything, that maybe they should be paying their what I call the billionaire share.
Yeah.
Yes, we do rely on them. And they can be made so that they're more environmentally correct, where they're recycling the water more rather than dragging it out of our rivers and our aquifers. And I guess the little music, the hum that goes along, some of the people who still have homes there that Google didn't buy, would be nice if, somehow they were compensated, i.e. buy their homes and let them move. So I just wondered if you had, I mean, I thought it was strange. I mean, I still have it in my phone, that meeting where, you know, they were talking about at the city council. No, you were not there. I forget what attorney it was, but so, all right. I mean, okay, some other things are managing local water trash collection, which thankfully is really good now.
It's ever since Red
River. Goodbye to Red River.
down the road.
Whoever it is, what is it called? GFL?
GFI or GF.
Who do we have? Is it GFI now? They're good. Whoever we have now.
They're
picks up
great.
mine every
Yeah, the
time.
fact
They've got those really pretty
Yeah.
green trucks, you know, they come when they're supposed to. I mean, and so city council did us right finding those people. And local property or sales taxes, also regulating local businesses, vendors, and construction. And I'm just thinking that if you want to be a municipal attorney, you know, whatever turns you on is what you can get involved
It's
in.
such a wide, it's everything.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about a lot of the regulatory stuff. You know, there's neighborhood code, building department stuff, civil liability, you know, responding to subpoenas, development.
Right.
pouring over FOIA requests.
That I've spent a great deal of my life now.
You guys are such jerks about it sometimes. I'm like, this isn't
Trying to be fair.
You know, Dirk and I would laugh about this. Dirk Rowley at Wayne TV. It's like if you didn't phrase it just exactly right, they would send it back and go, well, you know, could you be more specific? You know, it's, oh my God.
Just trying to follow the law.
Yeah, just
Jane.
trying to follow the law. And, you know, I felt like saying to Malik or whoever's in charge, Malik Hines, the city attorney, you know what I'm talking about. This is the information. Just don't be so.
I'm sorry, we don't have a document titled that.
Right. You capitalize the F? No, we don't.
Oh yeah, and also, but the state's even worse.
You know, there
Thank you very
actually
much,
is a.
but the state is even worse.
You know, you got to try to, seriously, you got to try to follow a standard, or else you'll have people claiming favoritism and, you know, discrimination. Even if you don't.
Right.
If you do it different for one guy as opposed to the other, you can get in trouble.
Well, it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that I have become much more specific in how I ask for things.
It's specificity is.
Specificity is a
value.
wonderful thing. I wanted to go on to Reddit because I think this is really funny, and let's see what you agree with this.
Okay.
This guy is into municipal law, and he says it is fun, but can be two curse words I'm going to have to leave out.
Okay.
Quite a show. My experience is rural with populations less than 2,000. And of course, we know Indiana is desperate for, these small counties are desperate for municipal attorneys, right? If there's poor management in place, you will primarily be putting out fires and trying not to, another curse word, tick off management while encouraging better choices. Which that sounds like something from middle school, better
Okay.
choices, you know. You made poor choices, you know, that type of thing. Once you get good management.
Sounds like defense lawyers to me.
Right.
Yes, you made poor choices, you know. You shouldn't have shot that guy. Anyway, once you get.
How they meet. We shot him.
But officer, you know, so once you get good management in place, it gets much easier and you can actually do some feel-good stuff.
This is a comment.
This is a small, this is some guy who's in municipal law, works primarily.
He's actually a municipal lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
Works with populations less than 2,000. And he's saying, and you know, it goes back to what I said about you go to board meetings, you can tell exactly who hasn't read the material, and they keep you there for an hour afterwards just because they're asking stupid questions. And this one, he says, once you get good management in place, it's much easier and you can actually do some feel-good stuff.
Are you asking me a question about?
Oh, well, do you want to comment on it?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's what it leapt to mind is in some of those communities, it's volunteers.
Yeah.
You know, really part-time people, part-time mayors or clerk treasurers. I mean, that's a lot to ask of somebody to have to.
A very small community
and
doesn't have the expertise.
It doesn't have the expertise or access to the budget to hire an attorney. You know, and you know what? A ticked off person in a community of 20 can be just as, or 2,000 can be just as
Yeah.
loud as the one and so you have probably this is all me guessing, but
No, I mean, I've seen it.
yeah.
So,
I actually represent a community. I'm a town attorney for Leo Cedarville. And I don't know what the population is out there,
4,000 something.
but I think it's really well run. I think they have a great council and a great town manager. And but those guys are, part time, and not the town manager and not the clerk treasurer. They're full time, but and they get a lot of heat on people get riled up about issues just as much there as they do here. And I got to hand it to them. I think they do a great job of wanting to be transparent, asking for public comment, asking people to come up and come. They all broadcast, or not broadcast, but they all stream their meetings. It's required.
Yeah.
And they're always, we want people to come to these meetings. Come.
And see, that's the other thing. Is it the state that requires them to stream them? Because I think that is something the state, and I think that was a good move by the state legislature, if in fact they're the ones that are in charge of it, which I think they would be.
I think something that's had some coverage, but not probably as much as it has as a study, is what they've done with the fire districts and territories and how that's going to play out here. That has been kind of not really under the radar. I mean, there have been a lot of interest, but if you want an example of a local issue that people are very passionate about,
for sure,
with the decline of the volunteer fire department.
Right.
Yeah. And the population of the county expanding. There's more need for full-time professional services out in the county. There just is. It's funny that you should say, go under the radar. It doesn't go under my radar. With the way, as much as I hear about it, I think everybody must know about this, but they don't.
No.
Well, they noticed it when some of their taxes shot up.
Taxes,
you would
That's true.
It's got to be.
You were creating a brand new entity with how many? This unified fire department's going to have how many employees?
I don't know the number, but they've got they've maintaining their chief. They had to form districts. Then they had to go through the legal mumbo jumbo to join them. They had to hire. They have a brand new executive chief, who's the former IAFF firefighter
Jeremy Bush.
Yeah, who I know worked for the last 15 years. He's on my speed dial. But you got to pay for that stuff, and I think
I went to a few
still
of
trying to
those
get over the
meetings
shock of
on the
having to pay for that.
I mean, this is basically like, I think personnel-wise, close to what the sheriff's department is.
Yeah.
So you're adding kind of, these weren't really funded by local government before.
And they got to buy. I don't know that I've ever seen anything more expensive than a fire truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Unless it's an ambulance, and they got to buy all this stuff and all the capital improvements that have to happen.
And it's not like
stations,
And with fire trucks, you don't just go to the fire truck store and pick one off the lot.
There's like two manufacturers.
Yes.
It's very highly specialized.
No, I know when we had one damaged and we had to tow it up to Wisconsin.
Somewhere
I think
far
it was.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Was that when you were the head of the board?
No,
of
this
safety?
was recently with a fire truck that was.
I'm not board of safety,
Damage.
but you were the.
I was the director of public safety, and at that time also the chairman of the board of safety, and on the board of works.
Yeah.
So you know a good bit about municipal law too.
He could have.
Well, I came into it without any knowledge.
Yeah.
Quick
We're
study.
similar that way. Yeah.
I know, but I mean, and then think about the reporters. Some of this gets
Oh,
so in
it's
the
very
weeds,
hard.
and then you get somebody who's not had any experience, and it can be a real mess with the reporting sometimes.
Oh man,
if they're not trained right.
I'm always impressed at how well they do. I mean, over my 26 years of doing this.
Well, and especially when they're just out of school, so many of them in this market, and come in and they don't really get a beat. They're covering whatever comes in. I mean, I think TV reporters are at a disadvantage.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Dirk said it too on our.
I mean, you look at the Journal-Gazette, and it's the same reporter doing 5 stories.
Yeah.
What a job! What a hard job.
And they're going more and more, I think, to taking what an agency gives them.
Right, the
And
press releases that
Copying
go out.
that pretty much.
I know in the meetings that I have sometimes when there is a term of art or a technical term, I will try to like
Explain.
stop and say, hey, did you catch what that was? Here's how
Oh,
it's
good for
spelled.
you.
And because, I mean, I think it's everybody's benefit for them to get the
To
story
understand, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
We can't do that in trials, but
no, yeah,
it
stop.
would be nice.
Stop. Did you all get that?
Yeah, and then when you want to ask a question, you have to be a little bit pushy about it. And it's like, people are, like, all right, they're rolling their eyes and everything else. Here's another one from Reddit.
Autobiographical.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I know
tell
what
you
you're
what.
talking about.
Yeah.
I went to the Medill School of Journalism.
Yeah.
You were not allowed to screw up with that
Yeah.
place. So I was trained well. So Reddit 2, he says he's an in-house city attorney.
Okay.
I love it. I do transactional work mostly, lots of public works type contracting and purchasing issues. Property litigation like eminent domain. There is a real hot bucket if we ever have eminent domain, which might have come in a little bit with the Google data center, but I think that they bought out most of the people they need to buy out. I also do tax foreclosure. The work is varied and interesting, and I get to have a direct impact on government policy in my mid-sized city, which that's what we are.
Yeah. I didn't write this, did I?
No, you did not.
If I knew what Reddit was, then I'd
It's
more
pretty
guilty.
great. I got this job by networking. When I had about 1.5 years of administrative litigation experience, I basically begged the city attorney and managed to get people to go to bat for me. It worked out and I couldn't be happier. In addition to enjoying my job, my pay is pretty good for a fifth-year attorney. My benefits are better than literally anyone I know, and my work-life balance is phenomenal. So he highly recommends it. And yeah.
I'd say a lot of government attorneys feel that way, that their
Yeah.
benefit package is pretty good and their work-life balance is available there. I would say that for like our folks, if you get weeks where you have trials back to back, if you're doing trial work, that is very intense. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And for our folks, when you're on call and you go out to crime scenes and stuff.
I was going to say my experience when I was the city attorney proper is, it was all those things, and we touched on some of those ahead of this Reddit commentary. I mean, we talked about some of the things that echoed in that message.
Exactly.
But I don't know that I really. It wasn't a stressful to my work-life balance, but I did work whenever, like if a police matter came up on
You're
a
on the
Saturday
phone.
night, I'm on the phone. Or if something came out over the weekend and the mayor wanted to meet,
Yeah.
I didn't say, well, I'll check you out on Monday. I'll see. I'm floating
My
in the
office
pool.
hours are 8 to 5.
Right. It was
so
not that. It was never.
My daughter has a birthday party.
Yeah.
Did that ever,
But on the other hand, it was I didn't have a punch-in time and a punch.
Right.
You don't. So
You just work all the time.
kind of, and then and I'm still
well,
doing
with
that,
cell phones now,
Yeah.
it's kind of that way. You never really get away now.
Yeah.
You have to go out of the country, and even then that doesn't work.
I billed time when I was in Paris 2 years ago. It's like I used to not want to go on vacation. I'd want to go on vacation, but I'd dread it because of the pile. When
You'd
you get
work
back.
your ass off
Yeah.
before you left, and then you'd come back with
To a thing this big. And now I think with the phones, it's
stay on top of it a little.
Yeah.
You may not relax as much on vacation, but in the days when you were worried, what's going on?
Right. Yeah. No, you stay.
You're having a lovely dinner at La Tour Eiffel, and the
Something
next
like
thing
that.
you know,
Yeah.
somebody's. All right. Well, that just kind of segues in because we know you're a Harvard grad. For God's sake, and
brother.
everything else. So,
You went to Medill. That's the Northwestern. That's the number one.
well, that was grad school. So,
okay.
what kind of books do you read? Because if you went to Harvard, you must be.
I read. I'm a reader for sure. I read a lot of.
What do you like?
I like classical American literature. I like Hemingway and Faulkner, and I like that stuff.
Faulkner's great.
But I find myself reading more biography
Really?
and,
So
and
nonfiction.
nonfiction lately. History stuff. Most of the time, and it's like the movies that I watch and the books that I read, I tend to reread. Like if I find something really useful, my joke before was I don't really like to watch a movie that I've never seen before. You know, if it's a movie or a book that speaks to me,
Okay, so
it's worth revisiting.
The Odyssey is coming out in 3 weeks. I'm dying to see it.
Okay.
You're going to go read Homer again?
No. I don't think you heard it. I said classic American.
Oh, okay.
I should. Why? We all should. But
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was on Wikipedia. I got to admit, I love Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I donate to them. And I just thought, all right, I've got to refamiliarize myself with this, Menelaus and Telemachus
Right.
and all those people. And, but I can hardly, but my brother's like, oh, that's going to be too violent. I can't drag my sister there. It's just like, it's such a pain, I am going to see it no matter
the
what.
closest I get to it is trying to read James Joyce. And
Oh, no. Oh, gosh, no.
So
Oh, no.
I suppose if
I
I
gave
read
up
all
on
those
that one.
Shakespeare and Homer, then I would understand that. I think I've been on page like 155 of my copy of Ulysses for maybe 12 years. I'm going to get through it.
I've got to say I admire that, because if just something doesn't make sense, I hate to say that. No offense.
Hey, it's the
to
number
all
one
the
novel
Irish
of all
people who
time.
Love James.
Yeah.
You know what? You want a good Irish writer? William Trevor.
Okay. I don't
Oh
know
my
who that
God,
is.
he's the best.
All right.
But no, I wouldn't. You just get to a point where Have you ever read Fever in the Heartland by Tim Egan?
Mm-mm.
All right, you're gonna have to.
I'm
read
gonna
It's about the Klan.
Oh,
in
oh.
It's
Indiana.
about the Klan.
Okay, oh.
100 years ago, they ran the state.
like
Oh my God.
1925.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of the scariest stories
Yeah, I
I've
know.
ever read. So, and then of course we got to talk about music, and we're running out of time because Tim is a musician,
Yeah.
and he's had a band which he says they're called URB. Do you want to explain what that means?
So I have been in many bands, and including this one we started off 2007, almost 20 years ago. Got together and we were playing reggae music, and we didn't have a name. And my friend Wendy Stein, I don't know if you know Wendy Stein or not, but she's a friend of mine. She started saying, "When is the unnamed reggae band going to be playing?"
Aha.
And then she started saying, "When is URB going to be playing?" And then I went to my guys and I said, I now know the name of our band. And so that's how it came up.
So, are you still playing around town a lot?
Yeah. And it's harder for me as an old elbow, shoulder hurting. I don't want to being in a bar at 2:00 in the morning as the only sober person there is not as cool as it sounds. It's dreadful. And so my desire to play in bars is pretty low, but I like this season of outdoor summer, 1 hour, 2 hours.
Have you got a date coming up?
Yeah, we're going to play at the final Rock the Plaza. You know what Rock
Oh
the
yeah,
Plaza is?
yeah.
It's being discontinued after 15 or
I think that's a shame because I used to take walks when I
No,
was
it's great.
Journal
It's
Gazette,
a great
and
thing. Yeah.
people would be setting up in their lawn chairs, and I don't get it, but
Yeah, there hasn't been much. We haven't had much on the landing this year either. Usually,
I was down there the other night and there was something happening.
okay,
But I don't.
maybe it started later.
Yeah.
But usually Friday afternoons they'd be
Yeah.
setting up by 3
Yeah.
o'clock or so.
so what do you
Entertain-
play? A lot of Bob Marley and Jimmy Cliff?
We do that. We kind of play some funky music. Once in a while we'll have a DJ. We have a guy rapping. Our DJ is a Allen County Sheriff Department man, Rod Strickland. I don't know if you know Rod. He was posted up in the courthouse, and I remember a couple years ago. He's a big dude, and I remember a guy walking up towards me in a sheriff outfit, and I go, "That is a big dude who looks like Rod Strickland." but I did not know he was a cop until
That's funny.
years later.
You just met him on the music scene.
I met him on the music scene. Yeah, he's just a nice guy that came and did the ones and twos for us every once in a while.
All right, well, you're on board for a slow jam with me, and I'm not going to let you forget it.
Okay.
So I am getting the word that we have to close this down. Does anybody want the last word? Because I have a last word, but I can't do it because we don't have enough time. It is going to be a couple days from now. It's going to be the 250th anniversary of America. That's why I've got my bow on. The Probable Cause will be in that parade. We're putting together a fantastic playlist. And so we hope to see you all there. I did want to mention that it's important in America. We are a republic, but we're also like a democracy because everybody gets a vote. And Supreme Court just verified that we have birthright citizenship, I'm really glad about that. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention that that's not quite the last word. If anybody else wants a last word, we have Mike, who is a Navy veteran who served our country.
Thank you for your service.
That's right. Thank you for your service. And I mean, it was at a very dangerous time and in our nation's history. So if nobody else wants to say anything, we're going to be going to say URB. And that's the name of his band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is. You thought she was calling me that.
UBR, URB, BUR. All right, never mind. All right, so this has been The Probable Cause. It's a podcast. We hope that you listen to us on Apple or Spotify. You can also see us and listen to us on YouTube. Did I forget anything, Brock? We also have that page, The Probable Cause, where you can find all our podcasts. And for now, we were going to say goodbye. This episode is filmed and edited by Frosty Pictures. The Probable Cause is produced by Maumee Media.
Worried when I crossed the Michigan line, a cop from Steuben County waiting on I-69. A headlamp went out while he pulled me over, charged me with possession after I rolled down the window. Now that's skunk. Indians a trip when it comes to weed. It's like who doesn't smoke or use gummies? Your grandpa, your brother, your rich friend from school? Hell, throw in the whole courthouse and my attorney too. It's time those assholes change these stupid laws. It ain't worth the paper for a probable cause. Sitting on a bar stool in my usual place, this guy next to me said he was looking for some cocaine. Hell, I just sold him an 8-ball with a little piece off for me. But my buyer was a cop? Should have known he was a creep. So I'm a dealer, right? You gotta be kidding. It's a rich man's drug. I just take it because I'm injured. 8 years in Westville with a monkey in my back. There's more drugs in here than you can shake a shank at. One dirty drug test, man, this system's flawed. Undercover screwed me in my probable cause. Street crimes never did me no favors. I'm hooked on Fetty. I'm a junkie, not a felon. Told that son of a bitch on the way to lockup. I can't seem to shake it. I need help, not mocking. What do you want from someone who's been through the system? Drugs all through the house before mom and dad went to prison. Throw me in jail and give me a fine? Someday I'll be dead and away from your kind. Now I'm at the courthouse in front of a judge. Can't say my public defender cares for me much. Crimes are committed on both sides of the law. God help me now with this probable cause. C-shift never gets old. Anything can happen when you're out on patrol. You think I'm just eating donuts, man? Give me a break. Nothing on this job is a piece of cake. Lights and sirens activated, this knucklehead wants to chase. Baby mama at the scene just spit in my face. Wife's worried that someday I won't be pulling up at all. You'll read about my killer in a probable cause. She went through my phone and she seen my text. I told her forget it. It was just my ex. She took a swing and knocked me flat. Man, I went wild and hit her back. Judge slapped me with a no contact order. Now she's got the kids and she's staying with her mother. So she started it all and I have to take the fall. You can read my whole story in the probable when I was young. Caught a case for dealing and did my time. Yeah, I got a record, but I was doing fine. Running my own business on the southeast side. Yeah, I got a gun. I kept it on hand. Told the cop my reason, thought he'd understand. In this neighborhood, you need some protection. Attorney thought I could get just community corrections, but the judge decided to send me to prison. Can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. Read the probable cause, it'll make you cry.
Whispers and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause.